Keen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both
Both sides
sides
of
of
the
the
couch.
couch.
You are joining between sessions, and we are excited to be back in the swing of things. We have a guest. I feel like the whole pandemic, we did not have like
No, we didn't.
when we were recording a couple years ago, it was just me and you for like a good 6 months.
It was.
And so it's good to have guests back again. So thank you so much for joining us.
All right, well, we have a very special guest today. We have Kisha Walwyn-Duquesnay. She is the go-to on imposter syndrome. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a Texas licensed professional counselor. Her practice is the optimistic counseling. If you don't follow her on social media, you need to. Like her content, your content, like keeps me laughing, and you always have all these great, you have all these great points, and it's so entertaining. So you definitely have to be following her. So Kisha specializes in imposter syndrome, and she helps women with self-doubt to get their beliefs in alignment with their behaviors. And we are so excited to have you here today.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Look at me clapping like I'm in the audience.
No, we definitely appreciate you. And of course, this is a topic that when we're speaking to Black and brown women, I'm sure it's there all the time. It's part of us that it's unfortunate, but we often feel like we are not supposed to be in the space that we're in.
Right.
So can you give us a definition of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so the big giant textbook definition of it is like a persistent self-doubt despite a person's accomplishments, intelligence, achievements, et cetera, et cetera. No matter what they do, they still don't feel like they haven't earned their success, or they feel like they don't deserve it, or as you just said, Ebony, they don't belong in the space that they're in.
Yeah.
But the easy way to say it is just means self-doubt. That's pretty much all it comes down to.
Well, and it also sounds like it's rooted in worthiness also, like not.
Yes. It does show up like that for a lot of people. Like they feel like they need permission to enjoy good things that happen to them, or they feel like some people feel guilty because they I don't know, they're further ahead along than, some of the people in their family or in their peer circle, and they feel like they don't want to make people feel bad for their success. And one of the things I try to help my clients with is understanding that it's not your responsibility to make other people feel comfortable with your achievements. You're not doing anything bad to them or to you. You're not doing anything bad. You only need to feel guilty if you're doing something bad, and you're not. So
right. That's powerful, right? Like it's not your responsibility to appease other people who might be triggered by it. And that's a good point because it does happen, right? Like I think especially when you have maybe broken some barriers that the people around you have not. I think they can be happy for you also, but also be triggered.
Yeah.
Barriers as well.
Yeah, I literally just watched a video this morning. I was like, "How to not be jealous of your friends," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
But that's a struggle.
Right. But she was really speaking to like that was something she had to overcome because when her life wasn't going in a direction she wanted it to, and her friends would have these accomplishments, she would be happy for them. But she would struggle sometimes to like it would feel like I'm happy, but also now I'm comparing, of course, my life.
What about me?
But to your point, it's not their responsibility to make her feel better.
Yeah.
And I think when I think about imposter syndrome, I always think of like this fear of being found out, right? Like this fear of like someone's gonna figure out I'm not supposed to be here, someone's gonna figure out what I'm doing. And these are conversations that we have regularly, and I have with a lot of my friends around like, well, I don't know if they know that I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Conversations before it's like, what are we doing here? What do people think we're doing? Yeah. So
I think that's where people start to, overcompensate too. Like, oh boy, I better keep this act up because at any second they're going to find out I'm a fake and they're just going to take it from me. So let me come in early. Let me stay late. Let me over volunteer myself. And even though I'm completely exhausted, I'm depleted, I'm going to keep pushing and keep going anyway, and distract them with my hard work ethic and my education so that they don't notice that I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really
Yeah.
good point. Distracting you, like, look over there, look over there. Yeah. So why do you think that Black and Latinx brown women
hmm
are more likely to suffer from imposter syndrome?
I think that some people have different opinions about that, but my opinion is I think because we check more of the other boxes,
Mm, yeah.
we are women, we are also anything other than white.
Mhm.
Right.
So having those two things going on especially in the I would say in the work environment,
Hmm.
when black and brown women say they feel like they don't belong, that's not all on them
Right.
because of history
Hmm.
and historical and institutional racism and discrimination and all the other isms that have been put in place, you really aren't supposed to be there because
Right.
there have been thousands of years of efforts put into place to make sure
Yeah.
you don't get there.
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of the glass ceiling wouldn't even exist if it weren't for discrimination. But the reason it's there is because there have been barriers put into place to ensure that people that are not white, specifically white males, do not excel past a certain level or are not welcomed into certain rooms. So I think that happens because a lot of the times we are the only one of us in
Yeah.
the room,
Yeah.
whatever that may be, wherever you fall on the black and brown scale, a lot of times we've been the only one in the room. So that alone can make you feel like I don't belong here or I'm not supposed to be here.
I was just having it's funny that we're doing this today. I was just having this conversation with a client yesterday. Same thing, feeling going into new spaces and feeling the pressure of that. And it's like, you feel it because it was
It's
literally
real.
designed
Yes.
for
Mm-hmm.
you not to be there. The situation, especially I think in corporations, it's literally designed for you to question yourself, for you not
Mm-hmm.
to be there. And so
Mm-hmm.
how are you not going to feel the effects of that at some point? Not only is it
Yeah.
designed like that, everybody on some level understands that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like whether it's
Mhm.
conscious or unconscious, but everybody's got that understanding. So you also have people treating you as such, like, what are you doing here? Or how
Mhm.
did you get here?
Yeah. It
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
really made me think of two things. One is how, as black and brown women, we're taught, you gotta be twice as good, three times as good, 10 times as
Our
good
whole lives. Yep.
to
To
get
get
into
half as far.
right as mediocres. And then along with that, I was thinking about the Ketanji Brown Jackson Supreme Court
Yeah,
Justice, right? And that whole process
right.
feels
Triggering.
like confirmation to us of like, this is why we have to, right? When they had the check
Mhm.
boxes with everything that she's accomplished, and the
Mhm.
people that are currently Supreme
Right,
Court justices
right,
have
right.
accomplished it, and,
Mhm.
like, and they're giving her this hard time. It
Yeah.
feels like
Not
this
even
is
a hard
Yeah.
time, like dragging her
And
through.
then had the nerve at the end to be like, "Oh yes, I agree with everything she's done. She has all of these off the chart accomplishments, but I cannot support her." No, next, like
Right, right,
but we
right,
still like, which
right.
is exactly why that feeling is always there. Like, will it ever be enough?
Right.
right.
And the hard part is where it translates is, will I ever be enough?
Yes.
Right? Will
Yes.
I ever be enough? And so I think that
Mhm.
that speaks to, the importance of these conversations and of the work that you're doing
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
give resources, to give skills, to help people on how to challenge that.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I've had clients that I've had to work with through that too in the workplace because, like I said, when they're the only one of them in the room and everybody else looks the same except for them,
Right.
they do question and do like, what am I doing here? What can I offer? And I always try to encourage my clients, don't ever ask what you can offer when you're the only one in the room because you are an education in and of yourself because you are the only one in the room. It's really hard to learn something new from everybody else that looks like you or comes from the same walk of life. Like that is like a life education because you have a different perspective on life, on the world, just from your own path of all the obstacles you've had to overcome. You are supposed to be here and you probably have worked twice as hard than the
Right.
people in this
Right.
room
Right.
just to make it here at this point.
Right.
So you don't underestimate yourself because you'd be surprised at just how much you have to offer if you really sat down and talked to these people. You probably know a little bit more than some of them, even though
Right.
they're in higher positions than you. I said I posted something, but I was joking but not joking. I was like, raise your hand if you ever had to train a manager,
Yeah.
because like so many people have been in that position, but because they didn't look the part, or because this environment was not designed for them, they were not afforded that opportunity. So yeah,
Right.
that's how I try to encourage people.
Yeah.
And exactly, right? Like if you're actually in this space, you are probably overqualified because
Yes.
everything that it took for you to get there was way probably a whole lot more than what the other people that are in this space that are not black, that are not brown had to do to
Mm-hmm.
get in there. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to remind ourselves of these things.
100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
what would you say are some of the traits of a person that might have imposter syndrome?
Oh, so many traits. Okay, so there are like the types, and then there's the traits. So there's like the superhero imposter syndrome type, which is black women call it the strong black woman, but everybody knows it as a superhero. They do everything for everyone and themselves. They can't be defeated. There's the perfectionist. They everything has to be done perfectly, or they kind of hesitate starting things if they don't think they can do it perfectly. There's a person who does everything on their own, and they get a lot of sense of their identity from being so independent. But sometimes they're overly independent to a point where it's detrimental to them because they have overloaded themselves, but because they don't know how to ask for help, or they have created the story in their mind that asking for help equals weakness, they just keep piling on past their point, past what they can actually handle.
Right.
Mhm.
I can't. Those are just a few. I can't think of all of them right now, but
Yeah. What are the
I'm
ones
probably
that
missing
are
some.
most common that you see with your clients?
Um, Probably the superhero one.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, I got this. I got everything. I can do more. I can take on more. I can come in early. I can stay late. I can take on more. But those people are like really at the brink of a breakdown.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I do see that more. So just helping people understand that you actually have control over the narrative you give your identity. Like you can change the definition that you give it. Superhero doesn't have to mean taking on all the things and taking care of everyone all the time. Like you can find a balance
Yeah.
and changing what how you look at yourself when you do. Like maybe you can consider changing the idea that you are weak because you didn't take on something else, or you said no, or you decided not to volunteer yourself this time.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're weak. You can look at it as, just changing your mindset around that. Like, no, this is how I preserve myself so
Hmm.
that
Right.
I am more readily available and helpful the next time around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Just helping people prevent burnout.
right, because that sounds like that's what it ends up being. Like you said, you're overloading yourself, and you feel like you don't get to get a break because you have to take care of everyone else.
Mhm.
And I also
Hmm.
think about the perfectionist one. You kind of alluded to how it
Yeah.
to procrastination as well, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes
Yeah.
like they're lazy, but the reality
Hmm.
is they don't want to start because if they're not doing it perfectly, then they don't.
Right.
They're scared to even get started on doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and I try to, that's another, like how we were talking about overqualified type, like, listen, your 6 is probably somebody else's 10.
Right.
So you have room, okay? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't even have to go that hard. And then I don't think people realize that it's a form of like sabotaging yourself, because if you don't do anything until you can do it perfect, you stay stuck and you just kind of like live in the shadow of your own potential because you're so afraid of it not coming out perfectly and failing. And I also try to help people change their relationship with failure and get them to understand that it's just a part of the natural growth phase. For as long as you're a human being, you will have flaws and you will be fallible, but it doesn't take away any of your worthiness as a human being just because you did not do something perfect. And perfect is just it's an idea. It's not a reality. So
Right.
helping people come to terms with that too.
Yeah. So are people who have imposter syndrome, do you see a lot of anxiety then, showing
Yes.
up? Yeah.
Yes.
So what are some of the symptoms like would you say that often show up?
Yeah, I mean, anxiety and imposter syndrome are almost synonymous with each other. I do see that a whole lot. So some of the symptoms are just being anxious about being able to fulfill their role at work, being anxious about fulfill their role in their personal life, just negative, constant negative self-talk, like constantly going to the worst case scenario, like overestimating their weaknesses, underestimating their strengths, like overestimating what failure is really going to look like, really feeling like making these impossible demands, like, oh, I wouldn't be able to stand it if I can't do this perfectly, or if I fail, and equating their worth as a human to the failure or the perfectionism that on the other end of that. And yeah, just and a lot of just staying stuck and not like, I know I should do this, or maybe I can do this, but I don't even want to try, because what if it doesn't work out? And what ifs? So,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So imposter syndrome does sound a lot like a lot of people who suffer from it definitely have perfectionism
Yeah.
that they're working with.
mhm,
Yeah.
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 Because it
yeah,
goes into this space of like, again, if I can't do it to this certain level, then why would I even do it? Or why would someone accept it from me?
Right. That
Right.
fear
yeah,
of failure.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
huge part of
yeah. Real, true fear of failure. Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think that goes back to being told, you got to work twice as hard. Like,
Right.
it's hard to look up when they be like, "Oh, I can shed that now." Like, that's been ingrained in you your whole life. Like, especially immigrants, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother level of
Yeah.
like, because it's like a running joke. Like, the only acceptable professions are like, what is it, doctor, lawyer, engineer, or failure. Like, like like embarrassment to the family. And when you think about I think feel like everybody has the same song but different song. That's how like we're all connected in this human experience. Like, your parents sacrificed everything and they
Yeah.
came to this land to give you a
Yeah.
better shot at life. So
Yeah.
it's like the least you can do is devote the rest of your life to like repaying your parents. So you
Yeah.
are trying to like go above and beyond to prove to them that their sacrifices wasn't in vain, prove to yourself that, yeah, I really do deserve to be here, I really can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a lot of pressure from a
It's
lot of
hard
different
to learn.
angles.
A lot to unlearn. Yeah. This is definitely.
Yeah, that is the key, a lot to unlearn.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what are some tips that you can give people to overcome imposter syndrome? Like, obviously, we know that it's not going to be like step one, step two, step three, but what are some things that you start to
Step
do?
one, just stop having imposter syndrome.
Right.
Boom, there it
Yeah.
goes.
Right. Don't do it.
Don't do that. I appreciate you guys having a platform that you have, because I think one of the best ways and quickest ways to kind of dispel the stigma
Mhm.
around it is just simply talking about it. Talking
Mm,
about the fact that you have imposter syndrome, that you struggle with perfectionism and struggle with being overly independent, not knowing how to ask for help or set boundaries, or being afraid to ask for help. Just talking about this with other people that go through the same thing or similar experiences, that helps you feel like you're not alone, which
right.
helps you feel like you're not a weirdo, and this is actually a normal thing that normal people go through. 70% of all adults have imposter syndrome, and they are usually people that are extremely intelligent,
Ah.
have really high IQs, that are extremely successful in the workforce and in their own private lives, personal businesses. So one way is talking about it and realizing that you're not a superhero, you're not superhuman. This is
Yeah.
a normal thing, and just trying to, I guess another way is trying to be mindful of, just pay attention when you feel like it's coming up, like allow yourself to feel the anxiety that comes with it.
Mhm.
Don't beat, I try to tell people, like, don't beat yourself up. It's such a waste of time. And it doesn't really help you I don't know, get to where you're trying to go next. It kind of
Right.
like stalls you.
Yeah.
So it's like, give yourself grace, but then try to figure out, what you can do about it.
Mm. Yeah.
What part is within your control and what part isn't.
Right.
And try to get clear on that. And ultimately, if you go through all those things and you still need help, that's why these Black and brown therapists are around. Talk to somebody who looks like you, who understands your experience as a Black or brown woman, in this world of the double minority. So, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
there's help available to you.
So really is it's about understanding you're not alone.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
a lot of people, the majority of people who are achievers, right? On some
Yeah.
level, and then because we're so used to having to work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard. So what
Yeah,
we're feeling is typical for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
then really kind of challenging what our thoughts are. Like, how do we learn to be kind to ourselves? How do we learn to give ourselves
Mhm.
grace? And then continuing these conversations. And of course, therapy with, therapists as dope as you. So yeah. Well, that kind of leads us into the next
Yes.
question, which is
Mhm.
why is therapy dope?
I mean, look at us. Have you guys not enjoyed this entire conversation? That's why. I feel like therapy is like a sacred, safe space for you to get all of the things out, the good, the bad, the ugly, the disorganized, the confusing. It's a I like to call it a judge-free zone. You get a perspective and an expertise for someone who has an unbiased opinion of you,
Mhm.
and they're not going to tell you what to do, but they are there to help you, like really hold your hand from your journey from your before to after. How they say, like, the glow up, it's like a mental glow up basically is what
Yeah.
you get. um Okay, I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna keep going on and on. But yes, conclusion,
Because
therapy is dope because it elevates you mentally and it helps you be the best version of yourself that you can be so that you can be a better version of yourself to people you love around you.
I love that.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. Yes.
So tell us, why are you a dope therapist?
Because
Well, no, I'm just kidding. Kind of what I said before. Like, I really like working with women from our community because it's my community. So, and I know as someone from our community that we are an underserved population. So I feel like, back to what you guys' mission is to be the representation of, in this space, that we are here, we are available. You can talk to someone who looks like you, that you don't have to explain your culture to first, and
Yeah.
on top of digging into your mental health issues that you came to therapy for. And I really honestly just feel honored anytime somebody chooses to work with me to help them through that very vulnerable journey, because that's a side of themselves that not a lot of people get to see. But
Right.
right.
we are privileged to work with them in that space, and we get to see them. Like, it's so rewarding. Like, you have a new client and you see the potential in them. You know where they can go. You know where they can be, and when they finally get to the end and they see it too, it's like it's just a really satisfying experience to get there. Like, see, I knew I was that you were.
Yeah.
When you first came and you was like, "Why?" And now look at you.
Yeah, yeah,
Look
yeah,
at the
yeah,
growth.
right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so it's just that feeling never gets old. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love, as we talk about imposter syndrome, that's one of my favorite questions that we ask is, why are you a dope therapist? Because I feel like even as therapists, we don't hype ourselves up enough, right?
That's right.
And so we
Yes.
have to learn to say, I'm dope because of
Yes.
this, and this is what I bring to the table. So I love that, even though we ask every person that, I love that we're talking about this on this episode.
Yeah, I
Right?
like that question for that specific reason. To y'all are actually doing a little Jedi mind trick into, like, make make me talk about why I am good at what I do. So you just force me to practice what I preach and
Exactly. I love it.
say why I don't have a problem. Aha, I see
Full
what you did
circle. There
there.
you go. We know
Aha.
where we're going.
All right, Keisha, well, tell people what services do you offer if they want to work with you? How can
Yeah.
you support, how can they get in touch with you? How do you support them?
Yeah. Okay. So again, my name is Keisha. You can find me on Instagram at Optimistic Counseling. My website is optimisticcounseling.com. I have a couple quizzes on there. The first one is, do I have imposter syndrome quiz? And then I have another one for therapists. I try to keep it simple. Am I a therapist with imposter syndrome? So So I have a few tools on there to kind of see, like, where you are on the scale of imposter syndrome, how it affects you, and that gets you signed up for the newsletter where you'll get helpful tips and resources of how to deal with imposter syndrome. If you want to work together, feel free to check out optimisticcounseling.com and look under the therapy plans that are available. I have 3 available for individuals and couples.
I'm sorry. Are you licensed only in Texas or are you licensed in other states?
So I'm only licensed in Texas,
Okay.
but I think because people keep asking me that, that's God's way of telling me to look into being licensed in other states. So yeah, so
Coming
look
soon.
out, guys, maybe coming soon.
Get in touch. Get on the newsletter.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
It's always so fun to talk to you. Like I just always, you are you have a wealth of knowledge, and you are hilarious. And so
Thank you.
I always enjoy talking with you. So thank you so much for taking your time to spend it with us today.
Thank you. And I can't wait to see you guys in person again post pandemic at
Yes,
some point.
We
we're
will
gonna
be
make
in
it
person
happen. That's right.
soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But thank you, and thank you for everyone that's watching. We appreciate you. Make sure that you follow Melanin and Mental Health across social media at Melanin and Mental Health, Melanin Health on Twitter. Go to melaninandmentalhealth.com to find adult therapists like Kisha, like one of us, if you're looking
I'm on
for a
there too.
therapist. And any to look at previous Between Session podcasts, as well as to purchase any dope merchandise that we have.
And make sure you rate the podcast.
Yes.
You know, give us those great ratings. And if you don't love it,
Sponsorship us, please. Sponsorships. We need those ratings. Okay. Thumbs up.
yes. And if you
Share with a friend.
that's right. And
Yes.
if you share this with a friend who you think may have imposter syndrome or that you all have been talking about it. And if you have any show suggestions, if there's something that you all want us to talk about, please send us your questions, send us your suggestions, and we appreciate you.
Yes. So we will talk to y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.